Okay, so as promised, I'm going to show you my deck. It's a Cyber Kozmo deck. It's a mix of Cyber Dragons and Cosmos. Cosmos are the ones that I was telling you about that are Star Wars and Wizard of Oz related. You'll probably see the relation here as I start showing them. But anyways, gonna start off with showing you what cards I'm using. I'm running 3 Cyber Dragons. These are, if there's no monsters, if I don't have any monsters but my opponent has one, then I can special summon it from my hand as a free summon. Just kind of a nice little beat stick there, and I'll tell you more about the combos. He's going to give me a lot of different combos later. Open up the doors to stronger monsters and plays. Next, I have Cyber Dragon Core. This one basically, when it's summoned, I can add a spell card from my hand or from my deck to my hand, and then when it's in my graveyard, I can banish it. I can remove it from play in order to special summon a Cyber Dragon from my deck. That'll become pretty important later as well. So that's like a baby Cyber Dragon. So you got your regular Cyber Dragon, and then you got the baby Cyber Dragon. Alright, so that's the Cyber Dragons. Now let me show you the Cosmos. First, we have Kozmo Tin Can. Basically the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, but also the R2-D2 from Star Wars. So you can kind of see the semblance there. Basically, this is probably the most important Kozmo I have. At the end of each turn, both mine and my opponent's, I can pay some life points. And basically, my opponent gets to choose one of 3 Cosmos to add to my hand from my deck. So it basically keeps a constant supply of Cosmos in my hand. The thing about the Cosmos is the pilots, which are these little guys that I'm showing you first, during either turn, they can remove themselves from play and special summon a bigger Kozmo from my hand. So that's important. So even though he's got 0 attack, he's pretty much safe, because as long as I have another Kozmo in my hand, he can basically trade out for one of them. So that's R2-D2. Next is Kozmo Farm Girl. She's the Dorothy. As you can see, that's the Toto in the background. And she looks like Amara Jade from Star Wars, but she's like the smuggler of Star Wars. So, but basically, when she deals damage, I can add a Kozmo card from my deck to my hand. So she's a searcher. She's also another pilot like the R2-D2. All the pilots are psychic, and they're smaller levels. I'll show you the ships here in a little bit. Then, for my stronger pilot, I run Kozmo Wicked Witch. She's the Sith, of course the Wicked Witch of Wizard of Oz, and then a Sith Lord from Star Wars. She's a beat stick, 1900 attack. That's pretty powerful for a level 4 monster. And she can protect herself from being destroyed by battle or card effects at the cost of some of my life points. But she's really nice to have around, and of course she has the same effect. She can banish herself to summon a higher monster. Then we have Kozmo Dark Lady. She's another pilot, probably the stronger of the pilots. She's the Darth Vader, as well as the Wicked Witch of the West, probably. But she can stop other monsters' effects, so that's pretty nifty, pretty powerful. a combo that I like to do a lot is I will have like Farm Girl. She's a level 3. I can banish her to summon Wicked Witch from my hand, who's a level 4. Then I can banish Wicked Witch after I've attacked to summon Dark Lady. And then Dark Lady will summon one of my ships, because she's the last pilot that can be summoned. So after her would have to be one of the ships. So it's just kind of a nice little combo. Sometimes like an OTK, which is a 1-turn kill. It's pretty cool. Anyways, that's the end of my pilots. Now on to the ships. Kozmo Slip Rider, probably the most important ship I have, and I will show you a combo with that later. But this is basically the X-Wing from Star Wars. When it's summoned, I get to destroy a spell or trap card on the field, so that's pretty helpful. And all the ships have the same effect when they're destroyed by battle or by effect and sent to the graveyard. They can banish themselves and special summon a Kozmo from the deck, a smaller Kozmo. So that's pretty nifty. They all can replace themselves, which is what makes them pretty powerful. Then I have the Landwalker, which is the AT-AT, or the AT-AT from Star Wars. Basically, this can protect my other Cosmos from being destroyed if I just destroy one other Cosmo card. Usually I want to target my field spell, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But this is kind of important. It's just a nice little beat stick there, and of course it has the same effect as the previous ones. Forerunner is kind of the mothership for the good guys, you might say. As long as it's on my side, as long as it's face up on my field, during each of my turns I get to gain 1,000 life points, so that's helpful because all the other Cosmos tend to cost life points to do their effects. Also important, it cannot be targeted, which helps with a lot of the new cards that are coming out that like to target. Dark Destroyer. This is the Star Destroyer from Star Wars. When it's summoned, it can destroy one monster on the field. Again, this one cannot be targeted, but this is pretty powerful, and I'm only allowed to have one of these in my deck. And finally, we have the Dark Eclipser, which this is basically Darth Vader's flagship. So this one can let me negate traps. So also a very powerful card. Alright, so those were the monsters. I know you're probably not understanding everything, but I'm hoping you're enjoying seeing this. Alright, so on to the spell cards. These are important support for the cards that I have. Cyber Repair Plant. This deals directly with the Cyber Dragons. If I have a Cyber Dragon in my graveyard, I can activate it, and I can either add one Light Machine from my deck to my hand, or shuffle one Light Machine from my graveyard into the deck. So the Cyber Dragons and the Forerunner and the Slip Rider, they're all light machines. So that's very helpful for getting what I need. It's basically a searcher or a recycler, depending on what I need to do. Probably the most important spell card I have in here is Kozmo Town. This is kind of the Oz from Wizard of Oz, also Coruscant from Star Wars. Basically, when this card is destroyed, I can add one Kozmo card from my deck to my hand, which is where that Landwalker comes in. That's why I want to target the Kozmo Town. So I can destroy Kozmo Town to protect my other Cosmos, and at the same time, I get to add another Kozmo to my hand. So it's just constant plussing all the time. Also, any of my banished or removed from play Cosmos, I can add back to my hand at the cost of life points. So this is very, very helpful. And like I said, probably the most important spell card I have in here. I run a couple terraformings. These just search out my Kozmo Towns, help me get to them faster. Twin Twisters, by discarding a card, I can destroy up to 2 spell and trap cards on the field to help clear the path. And they kind of fit with the whole Wizard of Oz theme because, you know, it's a twister. Overload Fusion. This allows me to use my Cyber Dragons in the graveyard and turn them into one of my bigger fusion monsters. I only run one because it's just a tech card, but it could lead to some pretty interesting plays. Upstart Goblin allows me to draw a card. Dark Hole destroys all monsters. Emergency Teleport gives me one of my level 3 or lower Kozmos from my deck. Monster Reborn lets me special summon a monster from my graveyard. And Limiter Removal is pretty fun. It allows me to double the attack of all my machine type monsters. And then it destroys them all at the end of the turn. Normally that wouldn't be such a good thing, but my Kozmo machines just replace themselves with smaller Kozmos from the deck. So I'm not really losing anything. And then last but not least, I run these. It allows me to draw 2 cards, but then I have to skip my next 2 draw phases. If I play them right, then I could really, it could help me win. I mostly use these for decoys, so people want to destroy my spells and traps. They'll end up hitting these, and then I'll just draw 2 cards off of it. And it makes them waste their cards, so that's why I run them. Anyways, that's the main deck. I will show you a couple of the combos that I have. Reason why the Cyber Dragons are important. So let me get those for you. Cyber Dragon. And then I'll also bring out the Slip Rider. Both are level 5. And they have 5 stars. They're both light and they're both machine. So this is pretty important. Basically, if I can get them both on the field at the same time, I can summon one of my bigger monsters. First, I would go into Cyber Dragon Nova, which requires 2 level 5 machine type monsters. So these fit the bill. His effect's not really important because I'm going to use him to summon in my Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is probably one of the biggest boss monsters I have in this deck. This monster, I can steal one of my opponent's monsters and put it in with these guys to give him more material. He gains attack for each material that he has. I can also detach one material, send it to the graveyard, in order to negate the activation of a card or a card effect. I can do that once per turn during either player's turn, so he can stop my opponent from doing a lot, and he also just keeps gaining power. I run a couple of him to keep it more consistent. And then these are all the fusions that deal with Cyber Dragon. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon allows me to take my opponent's machines, if they have any, and turn them into this big giant monster. Rampage is a dark monster that can be summoned with the fusion card that I showed you earlier. This allows me to attack multiple times. Chimera Tech Overdragon. This is the big one. This was basically, I want as many machines in the graveyard as possible. It just requires 1 Cyber Dragon and as many machines as I want. Overload Fusion will usually go into this. It gains 800 attack for every monster that I use for it, and then it can attack that many times as well. So if I use 5, he would be at 4,000 attack and can attack 5 times. When he comes out, he destroys everything on my side of the field except for him, but it can be worth it because generally when he comes out, it's going to be game. And then there's this one, which will help me take out my opponent's big monsters as well, using Cyber Dragon to summon him. So I'm running out of time on this. So if you have questions, just let me know. I'd be happy to show you more. But that was just a quick rundown of my deck and just a little taste of what it can do. Hope you enjoyed.